Happy Camper Radio, episode 50. Come on, let's go camping. Oh, we are ready to do it once again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Happy Camper Radio Show, the only place you need to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. This is the Big 50, yes, episode 50. And we're going to have a lot of great conversation today because Daniel has returned to camp. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, look at me.
Yes,
back in the saddle.
Yeah, he disappears, he reappears, he disappears again, and
magic.
he's back.
I hear if you do magic, you get TV shows. So
with that face,
yes.
Yeah, that
I've got
I
a face for radio. What can I say?
Well, that's why you're on the show.
Exactly.
Okay, but yeah,
I don't mind my face on the website.
You know something? I heard somebody told me this past week.
Uh-huh.
You know, I know you had a lot on your plate last weekend, but the reason I found out you were not
good.
on the show, the reason you were not on the show last Sunday is because your wife had you on restriction.
Oh, yeah, that was it. That was definitely it.
Yeah, I would say. And Deidre, welcome to the show. You're here with us today.
I'm here.
Well, it is so good to have you aboard.
Okay, for the record, she didn't have me on restriction. I went to play disc golf.
Without her permission, right?
Whatever, I'll do what I want.
Oh, you can see, folks, we're going to have a fun time today. Hey, our phone number here is 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. Of course, you can access any one of our social media sites very simply by going to our webpage, which is www.happycamperradio.com. Make sure you click on the RSS feed, and this way you can subscribe to the show. You'll never miss a single episode. Let's not waste any time, Daniel and Deidre. Let's get our campfire lit. And do you have any friends that you have invited today?
Friends?
You know, the more the merrier at this campsite.
What friends do you mean? Oh, like the dog
Daniel.
and the cat?
Well, we already have them here, don't we?
Oh, and
hey, I don't have any complaints about that either.
The invisible roommate?
I don't have any complaints about that either because you know I only go to pet-friendly campgrounds.
There you go.
Right, and I think you do too.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of cats around.
Hey, we did see a cat on a leash at a campground.
We did.
Yeah, you were
Up
telling me
near
about that.
Chattanooga.
Was that, yeah,
Yeah,
that was,
KOA.
Oh my heavens! Was that one of those gold-plated leashes? You know, somebody had to have an expensive cat to bring out. You know, I don't recall
Just
ever
trained.
seeing anybody walking a cat on the leash. You know,
Well.
cats are so independent.
Well,
You know, and
We
they
tried to
they
walk
were doing
ours.
it.
they
were
do
doing
their
it.
own thing.
Yeah, we tried to walk ours. It was a drag.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ba-doom.
so now you just cut them loose, right?
Yep. To come over to your house and eat all your food.
Yeah, and they do that fine, don't
They
they?
do.
They really do. All right, you know, before we go on, let's give a shout out to a newcomer to the show this past week. He reached out to us on Google+. Let's say hello to Timothy McGowan. Hello, Timothy, and welcome aboard. He added us 2 circles on Google+ this week. Daniel, I've got an interesting topic we're going to discuss today, and no doubt I think you and your wife will probably disagree with me to some extent, but, you know, that's what generates good conversation, and I have no problem with any of our listeners weighing in on this subject matter. I am a little on the old-fashioned side. I'm a lot older than you are, and I have been camping for many, many years.
How
so
old?
That's a big secret. I am above the big 50, all right? I'm getting up there in my ages, and you know, when you get a little older, and you're going to find this out too, you're going to be less tolerant of certain things. I can tell you this much: back in the days when I camped, when I was a kid, when I was with my brothers and sisters, there were no such things as pagers, cell phones, iPhones, iPads, smartphones, any of these other little electronic devices, but they're all over the place now. In fact, the kids have them, and the kids have them at school. Mm-hmm. Back in the days, Daniel, it was unheard of. You didn't dare get caught in class with a calculator.
Oh, really?
You were expected to use your head.
Too many cows to count, right?
That's
what you do with a calculator, isn't it? Deidre? Calculator? No?
Can you hear me rolling my eyes?
No.
I just did. No, but back in the days, you know, I can tell you, our math teacher in high school, he says, "Don't you dare let me catch you with a calculator in this class here, or you're going to lose it."
Well,
just
don't get caught.
No, we had
He let you
don't
know.
get caught with the cell phone back in our day. See,
Oh, really?
now they're
Oh,
allowed
that's
in
true.
class. Back in our day,
Are they allowed in class? I don't know.
I don't know.
Hell, you could have the
I hear
answer to
about kids
everything.
using
If
them.
you have a smartphone in class, just Google, what's this? Bam.
All right, but let me say this. Back in the days when I was camping with my parents and my brothers and sisters, the only thing you had in your hand was a stick, and on the other end of it had to be a marshmallow or a hot dog, and you were cooking it over an open flame.
Yeah, we did that.
Today, if I had my kids and I had my nieces and nephews, and I think there's about 12 of them all together, and we were all sitting around the fire, no doubt 10 of them would have their smartphone in hand, and they would either be texting somebody or they would be playing Angry Birds or some other
Flappy Birds. Skip, we had
crazy
this conversation
type of
earlier.
game. And Daniel, I would be going right out of my mind.
It's Flappy Birds.
No,
Yep, that
well,
was
whatever it
2007.
may be. All right, you know, it's just, to me, electronic devices are something you need to keep at home. But, you know, today we're going to talk on the show about the advantages, what few there are, and the disadvantages of bringing your electronic equipment to camp.
Okay.
I did have some electronic gear back in the day. Now, my brother and I used to have these little walkie-talkies. And they had the telescoping antenna on them, and each one had a 9-volt battery. And yes, we had those at camp, and we would wander around and we would talk to one another. That's fine. Those walkie-talkies back in the day, incidentally, were big and bulky, and the range on them were not very good.
Don't you mean 2 cans and a piece of string? Come on, Skip.
That's going way back.
Oh,
That's
okay.
going back into my grandfather days, and he told me about those stories too. Now, the communications we're looking at here in the 90s. Now, Daniel,
In the 90s?
at one time, yes, at one
Okay.
time before I had a cell phone, I had a digital pager. Mm-hmm. And the problem here began because everybody had to have your number, and when they paged you, they expected you to return their call.
Deidre knows all about that.
I knew you were gonna bring that up. I had one well into when it was not cool to have a pager anymore.
And you made the mistake of giving him your number, right?
It was no mistake. I love him so much.
I
Yeah.
bet you do, yeah. But, you know, here's the problem with the pagers. I remember in the days that when my pager went off, I had to run around and look for a payphone. You don't even see very many of them around anymore.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you
once
had
they
to
went
have...
up to 50 cents, I mean, that was it. They called it a
Yeah.
day.
Did they go up to 50
They went up
cents?
to 50
They were-
cents.
that-
Forget about it.
No. I
Yeah.
remember, Daniel, I remember back in the day when...
It was a dime.
It was a dime, yes.
They sang songs about it.
And the problem was, you know, anytime you put a dime in the payphone and you made your call, you were limited to 3 minutes. And if you went over the 3 minutes, the operator came on and said, "You're going to pay another 15 cents if you want to continue this call." You know,
Woo.
oh my heavens!
You know
yes,
how I
we're-
knew it was 10 cents? I knew it was 10 cents because of that turtle song, that Always Together, you know, the
No.
me and you and me. You know,
Happy
if you
Together is the name of the song
invest
by the
a
Turtles,
dime-
right.
See, when they said
Oh.
invest a dime, that's how I knew it was 10 cents for
I
a
just
phone
learned
call.
something new.
See?
All right, but anyway, after the digital pagers came out, you know, we had the analog cell phones, and yes, I had one of the first ones that went out. I had to venture out and buy something brand new.
He had the
my
Zach
very
Morris phone.
first, my very first phone was one of those analog phones with the big bag, and it looked like you were carrying a purse with you.
We had one of those as well.
Did you? I still have a couple of them here at the house somewhere.
I used to make calls to B98.5 in the morning because they had the impossible question, and you could call in, and if you had the right answer, you won stuff. I never got in because that phone was horrible.
And you had to pay for every call.
And you had to pay for every call. That was why my mom only allowed me to do it once in a blue moon.
The cell phone companies were out to make a killing back in those days. And, you know, the reception, too, was lousy.
It was
So
awful.
it was pretty bad. And a lot of folks had those cell phones, those bag phones in their cars, and they had to carry them just about anywhere they went, because if they didn't, it would somebody would break in the car and steal them. Now, digital cell phone technology, here we are today. The cell phones are a lot smaller. They're not like the big flip phones back in the days, which were the size of a brick. They have many plans with unlimited calling and text features. There's longer battery life. And everybody today, like us, we have what is called a smartphone. And you can do so much more on them because they incorporate internet technology. Today, we have much more competitive plans. There are a lot more cell phone providers out there, meaning, the competition's in place. So a lot of the calls you can make today, you can do unlimited calling and unlimited texting for one flat price. And like I say, nearly everyone has a cell phone or a flip phone, or maybe even a
flip
smartphone.
Phone.
Yes.
Maybe if you're over 50. I'm just saying.
There are still some of them out there. Now, but let's get back to the conversation of bringing our electronic equipment to camp. Mm-hmm. Do you remember, Daniel, back in the day when there were citizen band radios?
No.
Oh, I still have one of those too in the garage.
I don't know what that is.
I used to enjoy driving down the road and talking to the truckers.
A CB radio. You know what it is. My grandparents had one of these. We used to talk to the truckers when we would go camping.
Trucker radio.
Yeah, trucker radio.
I think they rode around on channel 19. Yeah, and if you wanted to talk to the truckers, yes, yeah.
Come on.
I'll have to call my grandmother and see what my grandfather's name was.
Okay.
All right, but let's talk about the advantages of camping and communications. All right.
Okay.
Now, if you want to go camping and you want to bring your electronic gear with you, okay, to each his own. Mm-hmm. It allows you, first of all, to stay in touch with the outside world while you're camping. Mm-hmm. If by chance you have somebody at home and you're worried about what's going on at home, you want to make sure everything is okay. I do worry about that sometimes. So yes, it would be beneficial for you to be able to communicate from camp.
Okay.
And you can communicate with the family as well. You can check on your home. In some cases, with your smartphone, you can just turn it on and you can see a video image of your dining room, your living room, or some other place that a camera is mounted. Mm-hmm. I think those features are neat also. Mm-hmm. Here's another one which I am not in favor of, and that's checking in with the office.
Oh, yeah.
This I cannot stand, but some people do it. When I am off work, I'm off work.
I hear you.
Don't bother me. Don't come to me with your problems. This one right here, I can tell you, there was a time when I took my daughters camping, and it was the one and only camping trip that my wife went on with us.
Was that the raccoon one?
Yes, we went to Red Top Mountain up on Lake Allatoona. Very beautiful up there. A lot of wildlife, too. But I made the mistake, and part of this is my fault as well, because I brought my cell phone with me. Mm-hmm. Everybody at work knew I had my cell phone with me. Mm-hmm. They also knew I was on vacation, and because somebody could not make a conscientious decision and had to reach out to me for advice, they rang my phone and bothered me while I was camping.
Okay.
And I was crazy enough to pick up the phone and take the call.
Okay.
It was also the weekend, incidentally, that I did drop the phone in the lake.
Mm-hmm. No coincidence there.
No, that's no joke either. And I had to get that cell phone replaced. But, I am not one who is in favor of staying in touch with the office. On the other hand, if you are a business owner, if you're a proprietor, this is your livelihood, and you feel you need to check in with your employees and the people who are keeping your business running while you are gone, I can understand that. Mm-hmm. But if you are a salary employee, if you are an hourly employee, and the job just cannot function without you while you're away, then you are obviously...
They need to pay me some more.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
You are obviously carrying on too much responsibility, and you need to delegate some of that authority elsewhere. I have heard some horror stories too, where somebody would go on vacation and the job expected them to be within shouting distance. Whether they were on the beach, whether they were camping, whether they were hiking or sightseeing, if the boss needed to get in touch with you, he should be able to call you. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, there were situations where the boss could not reach out to that employee, and as a result, the advice that they needed was not available. A big sale fell through, and when that employee got back to work the following Monday, he found out he was without a job.
Oh, nice.
I could not work for a company like that. I don't know about any of you.
If you can't do without me for a week.
Well, you know,
Right? You're not paying me enough.
I have always said too, you know, if you want to work in that type of environment, get a government job.
Yeah, government.
Yeah.
We're government employees, Skip.
Oh.
Join the club.
No, I'm going to step
Oh,
back
yeah,
here.
you were in the club. You were in the club.
I was
You
in
dropped
the
out.
club at one time, but I can tell you, and I'm not going to say this about every government employee or every government entity because they're all different, but I can tell you this much. The government entity that I worked for at one time was always up in my business, and I couldn't stand it. You know, and as I'm so happy to be away from that right now. But there's another reason. That's a disadvantage of bringing a cell phone to camp. Also, to call in the event of an emergency. If you had to reach out and call 911, if you had a medical emergency. Also, a lot of these smartphones have GPS tracking on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you can have a lot of fun with that too. If you're hiking, if you get lost in the woods, you might have the technology right there at your fingertips to help you get through a situation and maybe get you back to safety.
Hopefully somebody can find you before you have to gnaw off your arm.
Here's some of the disadvantages too of bringing your electronic gear to camp. Again, we said somebody's always calling you.
Wait a minute,
Who would want Daniel?
These disadvantages, you always have the choice to not answer the phone. So that's not really a disadvantage. You can call block people. Okay, so seriously, is that really a disadvantage?
I would not want to be sitting at camp singing a campfire song and have somebody's cell phone ringing in the background.
Vibrate. Call
People
block.
don't put their phones
Well,
on
that's
vibrate.
their problem.
Except
And
me.
a lot of these cell phones, and not these smartphones have these not these ringtones, but they play these crazy songs, and that would drive me even more crazy. Again, I mentioned too that if I had my family there with me to this very day, even though the kids are older, they'd be sitting around the fire instead of roasting marshmallows and hot dogs, instead of singing campfire songs, they would be texting their friends at home.
Yeah.
What type of camping experience is that?
The best.
Well, some of the things that I like, I'm going to be on the pro side of having your electronics with you. Growing up, one of the things that we did a lot, we like to play board games. We like to do puzzles. Camping wasn't just about sitting around the fire and stuff. The other thing I always liked to do was read when I was out camping.
Boring.
And so, whatever.
Well, a lot of people do bring their books and magazines.
I feel like,
That's okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, nowadays, with all of your electronics, especially with your smartphones or with your iPads, because I do have an iPad mini, and there are Kindles, you can actually put books on your phones or on your iPads. And you can take them with you without having to lug around 5 or 6 or 8 books like I used to. So I like to have it there because, I like to read before I go to bed. It's nice to have my iPad there. I can grab it, read a couple of chapters before I go to bed. I can go on there. Like I said, we used to do puzzles a lot we did like logic puzzles, crossword puzzles. They have a lot of apps. Whatever. You married me.
I know.
They have a lot of different apps on the phones that give you the ability to have a crossword puzzle there or anything like that. So there are some advantages. We also have on our phones, which actually came in really handy down at Jekyll Island, we have a constellation astronomy app on our phones. So we were able to actually go outside. We were actually staying in a hotel that time because we didn't have our truck. So sorry, we weren't actually camping. But it was really dark where our hotel was because they have no lights on Jekyll because all the sea turtles. And so we got to go outside, take our phones with us, and with this app, you actually hold it up to the sky, and it tells you what constellation you're looking at. So we were able to actually sit out there and look at the stars and actually know what we were looking at because we had our phones there. And if we didn't, we'd just kind of be guessing, well, I think that might be the Big Dipper, maybe. That might be Orion's Belt, possibly, or Cassiopeia.
And also, let's understand, too, that there are some people who camp for a living. In other words, there are folks who go camping year-round. They live on the road. They live in their motorhome. And a lot of those folks are going to have that technology with them. But at the same time, there's a time and a place for everything. You're probably going to be, I know if it were me, if I had a motorhome, I would definitely keep the electronics on the inside of the motorhome. I would do my online banking when I had to during the day, but at nighttime when the sun fell down and the wood was on the fire and it was burning well, and I had some guests coming over, I definitely would not want to have my cell phone there. I would not want to have my iPad with me. I would not be wanting to hear from anybody in the outside world, because there comes a time and a place where you have to put things in perspective. And the camping world, in my opinion, doesn't call for electronics.
Well, so, here's my rebuttal to that. Say you get into a conversation, you're like, "Oh, this is what I heard. I heard that so and so was something. He played in that movie or something." Or you get into a conversation about something. The phone handles every decision. "Oh, he did this? Let's look it up." Boop. "Nope, you're wrong. This guy."
Yeah, so it's
I
time.
thought it was this guy.
Let's prove him wrong right on the spot.
Exactly. You couldn't do that back then. Back then, me and DJ were talking about this. Back then, it was always, if you had an argument with your friend, you would go to his mom or you would go to your mom, and whatever they said, well, that was it. Now that we have the internet, we can settle every argument.
See, Daniel doesn't like to sit there and discuss and try to remember all those things that you might have, learned a long time ago. Daniel likes to,
That's why our listeners understand that in the real camping world, my campsite is clear on the other side of the park from you.
Exactly. Exactly. You're in the primitive. I'm in the.
You can still hear him, though.
Yeah, you could.
But, I'm kind of like, and we talked about this last year when we did the Great American Backyard Campout. And before I forget, let's mark our calendar right now, because the 2014 date has been set in stone. It is June the 28th of this year.
Can we stay in our pop-up?
Well, you can, as long as you're camping.
There we go.
That's fine. And Daniel, we can, if we want to go and camp again in my backyard, or we can do it in your backyard this year, it doesn't matter. We're definitely going to invite a few more friends along with us, and we'll probably be podcasting out there during the backyard campout this year, weather permitting, of course. Let's just hope the weather is just as exciting and as warm as it was last year. We did have a great time, didn't we?
We did. Betsy and Steve can come join us this year.
There you go.
Okay.
Wow. Way to put him out there.
Well, I don't know Steve, but he's welcome aboard. He's welcome to come to our
electronics too. He's a record guy. He's all about the analog.
Tell him to pitch his tent near me. We'll get along just fine. Okay. But on today's show, we're talking about electronic technology. We're talking about cell phones. Should you bring them to camp? Should you not? And we invite each and every one of our listeners to weigh in on this conversation, and they can do so by getting in touch with either myself or Daniel. Skip at happycamperradio.com. Daniel at happycamperradio.com. Or you can just go right to our website and click on the Contact Us button. But, give us your thoughts on the matter. You can also call us at 404-537-CAMP. Daniel, have you ever seen any of these neat little walkie-talkies they're making today with the real tiny, with the family channels in them?
No,
I have a pair of those. We had a lot of fun using those at camp. Now, I don't mind those. And this is a great way to stay in touch with individuals who are out on the camping trail. And they're also a lot of fun, too, in the event you are going with a camping party somewhere. Say if you've got the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, you're going camping, and you're taking 2 or 3 vehicles. Rather than burn up your cell phones, you can get these little neat walkie-talkies, and they go for, I'm guessing, somewhere around $20 a pair. And they take 4 AA batteries in them, and you can have a whole lot of fun with them too. They don't require any special FCC license. They provide decent range, and again, they're very small and very compact. The kids have a lot of fun with them. And you can use them at the campground. You can use them while boating on the lake, while you're on nature trails, what have you. There's multiple uses for them. So, not every single electronic device is going to be bad. When I go camping, too, let's talk about the digital camera. Who would be crazy to go camping today and not take photographs?
That's what our phone's for.
Oh, well, there you go.
Our camera.
There you go.
And our walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Just turn the phone off and take the picture.
Yeah.
But a lot of the pictures that we have on our website, I take with a neat little camera. It's a Sony CyberShot, and it does absolutely wonders. I can shoot video with it. I can do a whole lot of things. And when I go camping, it doesn't matter, even if it's for a few days, it's for a week or two. I love to bring back memories, and that's one way to do it. Here's some safety tips I want to pass along to you also. Treat any electronic device with respect. They can break very easily if accidentally dropped. You can preserve your battery life very simply by turning the device off when not using it. And I don't care whether you're using a cell phone, a smartphone, or a walkie-talkie. Please avoid profanity because, you may have other families in your vicinity. They may be around the camp. They may be listening on the channel. And you definitely don't want to have their young children hear any nasty talk, anything like that. I mean, this is all about family. It's all about having fun. If you're going to be using walkie-talkies for any particular purpose, let your family know that if you're going to be moving to another channel, what that channel will be. Because in some cases, if you have some sort of an emergency where somebody gets lost from your party, they need to know where they can find you. And they can do that very simply by, going to the particular channel that you're on. Purchase a carrying case with a belt loop. I've got plenty of carrying cases to carry all kind of stuff on my belt.
Belt? What is this for? Carrying case? That's what old people do, Skip. No young person carries a carrying case. They put it in their pocket.
No.
I'm just saying.
Carrying case. No, I carry carrying cases. I don't carry purses.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a man purse. Me and Deidre went over to Paris, and guess what? Everyone carries a purse. A man purse.
I think that's about going to wrap this show up. It's time now, folks, for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Get ready to make your reservations now, because this campground is going to be open in about, actually a month from today. We're going to go to the state of Iowa, to the Dam Complex, and check this out on their website. If you want to talk about modern day camping, they've got it right there. And all you've got to do is go to our homepage, which is happycamperradio.com, and click on the featured campground button. There it will be. This is a great camping destination, and one you may want to keep in mind for this coming year. The campground, like I say, opens up on Monday, April the 14th. It is part of the Coralville Lake Project near Iowa City, and they offer camping, hiking, a lake fishing, river boating, swimming, skiing, disc golf, and picnicking.
Disc golf?
Yeah,
I'm there.
Okay, well, Daniel, start making your reservations, and you can do that online. If you haven't already signed up for an account, click on the little gray button at the top of the page. It says sign in or sign up. It's very little information they're going to ask, but anytime you make a reservation on recreation.gov, it's going to make your reservation process a whole lot easier. Check out the website, some of the things you know before you go, and their activities and amenities include plenty of them: drinking water, a dump station, electric and sewer hookups. Not very many campgrounds have sewer hookups that I've come across, but this one does. They've got a playground there for the kids, picnic shelter, pay telephones, interpretive trails, flush toilets, hiking, a visitor center. This campground here has just about everything you need. So check it out on our website. It is our featured campground of the week. It's Dam Complex in Iowa. Time to make your reservation this coming year. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, all you've got to do is reach out to us, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and
Daniel at happycamperradio.com.
And if you don't want to talk to Daniel, just put his wife's name, Deidre, in there, okay? Nope. And then she can read his email.
Nope.
I'm much cooler.
Hey,
20%.
Oh!
Yeah. Folks, you can tell we had a great time here in the studio today. Great conversation. And Deidre, hey, thank you so much for joining us. And by all means, come back anytime, all right?
All right.
Hey, don't forget you can catch us online. Catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker and add us to your circles on Google+. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions, and the dog just walked in the studio here all dressed up. Oh, listen to the party we're having here, folks. You can't get this kind of entertainment anywhere else. But don't forget, catch us online, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have by simply emailing Daniel and I, or give us a call at 404-537-CAMP. That's about going to wrap it up, folks. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.